let's first go right into our wonderful friends over at Fanchise. Fanchise is a first-of-its-kind social platform that allows fans to control a real arena football team in a real time through a simple-to-use app. The platform is currently hosting early signups for their beta program, with additional incentives like signed jerseys and season tickets. For fans who sign up now, it's free to join, and you can earn more chances to win by sharing on Facebook and Twitter. Join Fanchise and become the owner, GM, and the coach of a real team. Fanchise, give the power back to the fans.
All right, now see, guys, what this really is, this is kind of cool. A bunch of ex-players and everything bought an arena team. They bought an actual arena team, and if you go and you sign up with them, you're going to get an app on your phone, and you're going to be voting and doing things like that on the things the actual team does, like the direction of the franchise in general. So I'm going to post the link in the bottom of the video, but go over to joinfranchise.com. But with that,
joinfranchise.com.
This summer.
Sunday.
Hey man, I'm trying to give these guys, a good bang for their buck.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, but OTA or not OTAs? What is it? Voluntary workouts.
Yeah.
Workouts.
All right, those things are starting to pop up now. As of yesterday, April 4th, the Fleagles, the Eagles over there in Philadelphia, the 49ers, and the Browns have all started their workouts. On the 11th, the Giants, Bucks, and Dolphins are start. And then pretty much every single other team, the whole entire NFC North, AFC West, the rest of the East, they're all starting on the 18th. And for whatever reason, the Panthers are starting on the 25th of this month. And by then, all 32 teams will have started. Not really much going on with these things in the way of news, but I guess the biggest thing is Colin Kaepernick. So these are voluntary. Colin Kaepernick showed up at the Niners one, and I guess that's not that surprising, but it's going to be Colin Kaepernick watch until the trade deadline.
Yeah, well, I honestly, I still think that there's going to be that trade for him from the Broncos, so I think he's going to be sporting a Broncos jersey. But we don't know. We'll see when draft day happens, because that's when the transactions occur. So let's see.
The Broncos don't want to pay him, though. It's now come out, and what it is Kaepernick would have taken a pay cut, because if they trade for him, they absorb his contract. So they're saying they'll only trade for him if that contract is a smaller contract, and Kaepernick has the right to refuse that. Basically, he is under contract. Do you know what I mean? So with him denying it, I think he's smart to play hardball. He may as well get every penny he can. San Francisco is now guaranteed that money after, the first? So why should he come down at all? If Denver wants to trade for him, they're going to have to pay for him. I'd handle it the same way in that aspect of it from the money side if I was him.
It's really going to come down to whether or not, like how unhappy he is in San Francisco, like how bad he wants to get
That's
traded.
true. You don't know that. That's true. Absolutely.
He might hate it out there in San Francisco, and he might end up biting the bullet, but who knows? We're gonna have to wait and see.
What is he making?
11.9.
11 point. Yeah, that's so cheap. Why do they want him to renegotiate? Like that's dirt cheap.
Especially
pretty
out
bad.
there in Denver, who is desperate for a quarterback right now.
Well, it's Elway trying to play hardball.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He wants to get. Well, he can only work with what he has to work with, but honestly, that team is going to be a quite the joke next year. And now with the Chiefs and the Raiders coming up in that division, they're gonna be yesterday's news now.
Do you think somebody like Paxton Lynch ends up going under center for the Denver Broncos?
Maybe,
because they wouldn't have to grab him in the first round.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? They're gonna have to do something. They're just going to have to do something, and they're going to have to figure it out soon if they want to try to, break out and take that division again.
I definitely don't think that they'll be able to get. I mean, like Carson Wentz is probably going to go, to the Browns. All right, so they're not going to be able to trade up that high. And then I guess next would be Jared Goff, and I mean, I guess maybe depending on who would take him, how far maybe they could jump up in the first round and grab Goff. But if not, I mean, maybe we'll see Paxton Lynch with a later round.
It's a possibility. I mean, I think I said on the last podcast that there are at least rumors, or I don't want to say rumors, but projected fantasy drafts, or not fantasy drafts. Sorry, actual drafts.
Mock drafts.
Mock drafts. That's the word I'm looking for. Had the Niners taking Jared Goff at that 7 spot, because I guess maybe Chip Kelly doesn't want Kaepernick there.
So that would then mean the Broncos would have to move up all the way to 6, which they can't do. You can't go from 31
that's
to 6.
way too big of a jump. So who
so
really
it would
knows?
have to go Paxton Lynch, I guess, would be the next guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it depends on where Paxton Lynch ends up going. I mean, I think a lot of mock drafters have him going somewhere around the end of the first round,
Really?
second round.
I was thinking more like second.
Second,
Yeah, really?
yeah. So he might be there at 31. So I mean, if the Broncos still need a quarterback,
I think he'll be there at 31, but I don't think Elway will pick him at 31. I think he's only going to take him if he falls back. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he's going to take, Paxton Lynch with the first round pick.
I mean, it's not a very quarterback
Friendly draft.
It's not a draft that's stock full of quarterbacks like it was a few years ago.
But real quick, let's take a second and tell you guys about Reputation Resolve, which is an all-in-one online software that will help you build and manage your business's reputation online. It will keep you connected to your customers, get you 5-star ratings and some comments. To better serve your customers and start growing your business's reputation today, go to solutions.reputationresolve.com. That's solutions.reputationresolve.com. All right, now let's keep it with the draft, but change things up. There's a lot of reports out there saying that there's a 50-50 chance that the Titans will trade the first overall pick. Now, a lot of this is coming from Peter King of the Monday Morning Quarterback. He's the one that actually came out and said it. The decision would have to be made by John Robinson, who's a first-year rookie GM. So, I mean, this is basic, I
guess if they can get what they need,
pick, new draft.
Why not?
Pick. Do you know what I mean? He's a new GM, so he's got to be nervous. I don't care what you're saying. He's got the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Are you going to take Ryan Leaf or are you going to take Peyton Manning? It's his first year, so he's got to be a little nervous.
Well, they have a team that is pretty young and they're pretty talented. Their offensive line is pretty atrocious, so they're gonna have to address that. And for them to
they can
give
get
up that,
Tunsil with the first overall pick if they want it.
So they're not.
You know what I mean?
So basically, unless they're gonna give up. Somebody's going to give up something that's going to be an asset to them, like somebody like Tunsil. You're not getting that first pick.
I mean, well, he is interested, though, because he came out and said that they would be willing to deal the pick if they were already taking calls, actually, he said. And then, I don't know. As they get a little bit closer, he said they would get a little bit more legitimate and everything once the pro days go by. And he said, I expect there will be a few more exploratory calls. So he's got people fishing around, but this could be a giant smokescreen. But everybody's always calling about the number 1 pick. You just got to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I really don't see, and I'd be willing to bet money on it that he's not going to give up that number 1 pick, because Tunsil's going to be.
That would be a ballsy move.
That would be really dumb.
Well, it could go both ways. I mean, you need a line.
Tunsil is pro ready.
But at the same time, you got to think back. Now, this was a trade. Well, I mean, think about this wasn't a draft pick really, but when the Cowboys traded Herschel Walker with Jimmy Johnson, and they rebuilt that Dallas team after Jerry Jones fired Tom Landry, hired Jimmy Johnson, all right? They trade off Herschel Walker, and they basically built their whole entire Great Wall of Dallas that led them to 3 Super Bowls off that one pick. Now, nobody's going to pay what they paid for Herschel Walker because they're still giving the Cowboys picks on that Herschel Walker deal. But, I mean, so it could fall either way. If he could stockpile and really get to build a team, it might be good. But at the same time, if Tunsil's going to square away this team, then they should take him. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so I can see. I don't know. So you think he should keep the pick?
Yes, and take Tunsil.
What do you think?
I'm going to harken back to the last podcast where we had John Schmelk on. I referenced to the Eagles being one of a couple teams that are actually allegedly trying to jump up there to at least that number 1 or 2 spot to get Carson Wentz. But that being said, I mean, if you're trying to, or if you're the GM or the owner of the Titans, you want to like you said, stockpile those picks. Now, if any team jumps up that high, you're going to be looking at possibly getting future number one first round picks, second round picks, what have you, players. So maybe he's looking at it like that if he does make that trade, where he sees he'll drop back in the first. They'll drop back in the first round, still be able to add some key pieces, and then have future picks to build the team that they already have going.
And what if he only has to trade as far back as the Dallas Cowboys? Do you know what I mean? Because there is a possibility that if the Cowboys really wanted to take a quarterback, even though Jerry Jones has been shooting down that idea,
they trade
do you know what?
first round picks.
And then they'd only have to move back to like 4 or something like that. The Cowboys could bypass the Browns.
That's a possibility.
Do you know what I mean? And that wouldn't be as expensive because I mean they're still getting a top 5 pick this year.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I mean, if I'm a GM, it's a move I'd probably.
I really have to think about it.
You'd have to think about it, but if the price is right, I'd say there's not too much you are losing if you can stay in that top 5 and then also get future picks as well as possibly players. So I mean, I said before it was ballsy, but if like I said, if the price is right, why not go for it?
For all your debt consolidation needs, give Cura Debt a call at 844-255-6458. That's 844-255-6458. But keeping it with them trading this. Now, in my opinion, see, if I was a GM, I'm the type of dude, I get some money in my pocket, I got to spend it. All right? That's why I'm never going to be a GM. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me personally, I'd have to be like, I got the first overall pick. I can really build my team. Do you know what I mean? I would probably keep it. But if, say, I wasn't high on Tunsil, do you know what I mean? And I wanted to go in a different direction. I mean, who knows how far back they could drop back and get Ezekiel Elliott if they want. You know what I mean?
True.
They could probably drop all the way back to number 10, grab Ezekiel Elliott. Maybe he's the highest player on their board. Do you know? Just for an example, throwing a name out there. And then they could fall back all them spots, get the player they want, and then get the picks. So it all depends on who they have at the top of their board, how far they can go back to get him, and how much they can hold him. Because they can't be greedy either. They got to make it a legitimate deal if they actually want somebody to bite on it.
Well, they're going to have to do something because that offensive line was pretty atrocious. Even though, they had a rookie quarterback, they had some flashing signs of hope out of their rookie wide receiver. I forget his name now for some reason.
Who, the Titans?
For the Titans, yeah.
Who's the Titans rookie? Do you know who it is off the top of your head? I don't know, but here, look it up.
I know that he was because, and then obviously they got Delaney Walker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did he end up staying Delaney Walker? He was a free agent.
I believe he did.
I don't know.
I have to.
I didn't hear about where he went. Man. But Delaney Walker, I mean, he had a season of his life this past year, man.
Heck yeah,
this was the
man.
best season of his career. I think he had something like 8 touchdowns. I did a big post about him and the other available tight ends. You can go over to voiceofbedlam.com, click on that featured articles tab, and look into it, dipping into the pot. But, I mean, he had the season of his life.
Yes,
and
he
it's
did.
a nice red zone target for Marcus Mariota. I mean, all rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends running that nice little seam route. You know what I mean? Most young quarterbacks are better throwing in between the hashes. Do you know what I mean? And the tight end gives them a nice big target, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know. I need to see more out of Titans before I don't care who they have on their roster. I need to see more out of them before I have any faith in them at all.
Are you saying they're...
I mean, they drafted more...
Are you saying they're a joke?
Yeah, they are. I mean, they drafted they drafted Mariota with the 2nd overall pick, and now they have the 1st overall pick.
See ya. No, I think they're... Actually, no, I don't think they're a joke. I think that, honestly, this is going to be a year that they're going to make some big moves in that division because they're going to have to.
The Titans, as Dan Hanzus would call them.
The Titans?
The Titans.
I get it.
Because what? They're like a cartoon or something?
Yeah, I guess. You'd have to ask him.
Well, he's a cartoon. And I'll say it to your face, sir.
All right, why don't you tell
I'm just
everybody...
kidding.
Sean, did you ever find out who that rookie wideout was?
No.
Yeah. No. Yeah,
All right.
Thanks, researcher. Thank you very much. But
Now, well, what are you saying again?
I was gonna say,
Is it Justin Hunter?
No. I forget. I don't remember. A friend of mine drafted him in our fantasy league, and I was like, yeah, that's a good pick. Cause
Kendall Wright? It's not Kendall Wright.
No. Are you looking at their wide receivers list right now? Look at their one.
I mean,
this
shows you, who do the Titans even have outside? I mean, they got Mariota as a rookie, but I mean, that's why they have the 1st pick overall. But let's get off of the Titans and talk about the top tier teams, or even better yet, not so much the top tier teams, but more like this middle tier of teams. All right, because once again, the big talk, the big chat is all about the NFL expanding the playoffs. Now, during a meeting with the Jaguars season ticket holders this weekend, Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, said that the NFL will likely expand the playoffs in the near future. They put in quotations, likely in the near future. The last time this happened, what up?
Dorial Beckham.
Yeah, Green Beckham.
Green Beckham.
Yeah, there
it is, Dorial Green Beckham.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's my fault.
Anyway.
No, it's my fault for not remembering his name.
The last
All right,
time,
so it's
the last
John's
time
fault.
this happened when they expanded the playoffs, that would be in 1990 when the wild card first came in.
Yeah.
Now that was they went from 10 teams to 12 teams. Then now they're talking about going 12 teams to 14 teams. All right. So also what this means though, the NFL Player Association would have to sign off on this, but they are willing to, they've said, but they'd have to shorten up preseason. They want to only have 2 preseason games, and then they'll allow the NFL to expand the playoffs. I mean, because you know how negotiations go. You're getting something, well then you're giving something. Do you know what I mean? And so the players know that, they can really get something. Everybody wants shortened preseason. Nobody wants to play anymore. Nobody wants to practice.
It's something
Everybody's
they've been
afraid of
talking
getting
about
hurt.
for a couple
But I have to
years
say,
now.
I'd be willing to sacrifice preseason games for an expansion of the playoffs. A lot of people don't like it because they think it destroys the competitiveness, makes it too much like the NBA. I mean, 3/4 of the teams, so most in the NBA get into the freaking playoffs. You know what I mean? But I don't think it diminishes it that much. And I mean, I'd just be excited. All you got to do is get into the big dance, and you can come out king.
So it's a 3rd wild card team in both
Each
conference.
And then there would be an extra bye week. That's both the top...
In the playoffs, you're saying?
You know how the number 1 seed gets a bye?
Right.
I believe the number 1 and
the
number
number
2 would get a bye, and then the math works out where everybody can play somebody.
It definitely adds it adds an interest factor to the playoffs. So what happens then if the in the wild card round, say the 3 seed beats the 6 seed, does then the 3 seed play the 1 seed and then the 4 or 5 seed?
Well, no. The way it'll always be is who that number 1 seed is going to play.
Is always going to play the lowest seed. Yeah,
and the number 2 seed is going to play the second.
Oh,
it's still going to work out like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And then also, but one problem with this is from the broadcasting side of it. So now there would have to be 3 games on Wild Card Weekend. So if there's 3 games on Wild Card Weekend, you kind of have to put one on Monday night. And
more games means more money for the NFL.
Yeah,
so.
but at the same time, it creates an unfair advantage Because say the Eagles are playing in that wild card, right, Sean? They get the Monday night game. They win. Now they got to play a playoff game against the number one
The next
seed
Sunday.
on a short week.
On the next Sunday, yep.
As an away team.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because they'd be the lower seed, so they'd be traveling to, say, Seattle. Do you know what I mean? They'd be traveling to Seattle, and they'd have to play Seattle on a short week away in the playoffs.
Well, that's just gonna kind of play to like the fans' kind of perspective. Like the fan is gonna say, "Oh, well, we were playing on a short week, this, that, and the other thing." But here's the thing: it happens all the time during the regular season.
But it shouldn't. It's the postseason. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, if they're okay with doing it during the regular season, the idea of throwing it into the postseason doesn't really bother me too much. I think it makes it interesting.
Now, do you prefer this? Because I'm okay with this. I want this. I want expanded playoffs. What I do not
I
want,
kinda like it.
the other thing that's been talked about with the playoffs is the whole, the like a team like. A losing record that wins the division, like a 7-9 team, and they're trying to not put them in the playoffs and give it to the next best team, or they can't host a playoff game, or they keep talking about things like that. I'm dead against all that. I don't care if you go 6-10. If you win your division, you are at least the number 4 seed in the playoffs. That's how it goes. I don't think that should ever change. I don't care what your record is, because goal number 1 when you come into camp is to win your division. Coaches, GMs, they're scheming to play the teams in their division. If you win your division, that is important, and you should be the 4th seed then, and you should host the game. Goal number 1 is win the division. Tough cookies that the NFC West is hard and the NFC South is garbage. It's not always going to be like that. There's always some joke divisions. So which one? How do you feel on that standard?
Feast.
How do you feel on that though? About the whole. Would you be okay with either one of these happening?
Honestly, if they want to expand it, it's not a bad idea because, it's just expanding upon the teams that are eventually going to be added to the league. So there's going to be more teams added to the playoffs eventually because, it's growing. It's a growing sport. Now there's a vacancy in St. Louis. They want a football team.
It's a good point, actually.
London wants a football team.
If a team goes to London, it seems like it would be the Jaguars, who have consistently been the team over there, giving up games every year. And what's his name? I can't think of the owner's name, with the crazy handlebar mustache.
I think Miami Dolphins. Actually,
I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he has those 2 soccer teams, and he's the one that's had the most games there. Therefore, he has the biggest fan base there because every time there's a game in London, the Jaguars are hosting it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, I mean, it seems like they would be the team, especially as a laughing stock, because also when you got to move, just think of the movie Major League. You know what I mean? It's that bottom team tier that's moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
the
got
Patriots ain't leaving Foxborough, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. But got a question for you guys. Do you guys take things into your own hands when it comes to your cars and your vehicles?
Because I'm broke, but I'm going to be rich one day, and I'm never going to work on it again.
Man, no. You make sure you do your own work, right? Because then it's done right?
Yes.
So why not do it with quality parts from K&N Filters? Make sure you hit them up to get your oil filters, your air filters, and I was looking at some of their performance filters, man, because I need a little more horses, and I need a little more, I need a little
more pickup, a little punch.
Well, yeah, my Jeep feels like it needs a little more.
Well, if you go with them, it's going to last up to 50,000 miles between servicing, and this will not not void your new car warranty. It's the original performance filter of NASCAR, and it's made right here in the good old U.S. of A.
In Riverside, California. So make sure you go to knfilters.com/podcast to get a great deal on these great filters, and you'll get free shipping, and a bonus, you'll get a free hat.
There you go. So head over to them, get them some clicks, work on your stuff. It's the best way to do it. All right, with that, let's talk about LaShawn McCoy. Now, the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office is expected to announce this week that there will be no charges filed against the Buffalo Bills running back. Now, this comes from a alleged incident when McCoy, who used to play for the Eagles, was over in Philadelphia just hanging out. You know what I mean? That's where his people
At a party.
still are. You know what I'm saying?
Time.
Okay. And they got into a little bit of an altercation, which resulted in
Some
two
off-duty police
officers, getting the crap kicked out of them, basically. Each of the officers suffered broken ribs. In addition, police said the officers suffered other injuries like a lacerated eye, broken nose, and sprained thumb. So, but there is going to be no charges on him. There will, however, in ex-NFL star Michael Vick's brother, who did play in the league. Yeah, did play in the league 1 year with the Dolphins, I think. He also just got into an altercation with the police. He is arrested, and they did take him to county. I don't know if he bailed out or not, but that's the legal side of it right there.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they try to fight you?
I mean, they were talking about Marcus Vick being a third-round pick, but he didn't even get drafted because of all his off-the-field
how
problems.
good his brother was, and he, but his brother was he got too big for his helmet. His head got way too big for his helmet, and he couldn't perform on the field. He had the off-field persona like he could, but he just couldn't show up and do the job when the show, showtime was on. He couldn't show up and perform. And it's as simple as that. And it stinks because he had potential.
Yeah, and then the off-the-field thing always complicated. So he will be charged.
But what he did down there in Virginia Tech though was unmistakably terrible. Like he basically was like an Albert Hainsworth with dirty kicks and stuff like that. Yeah, stomping people.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah,
it was pretty terrible. Man, you need to start watching college football.
I'm not going to reference college football from literally 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I watch it sometimes because sometimes on a Saturday you just want to sit there with a bowl of cereal and just be like,
I'll watch Michigan or some Big Ten team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll watch one of the Big Ten teams.
Usually Saturday's like a laundry day for me, so I just gotta bang out all the laundry and go.
But if you want to go see the Michigan game, you guys can hit up Ticket Liquidators. Ticket Liquidators is one of the world's biggest online ticket marketplaces. All right, it's got an unbeatable inventory, 4 million tickets, over 83,000 events worldwide. It's got a state-of-the-art security, so you don't have to worry about your transactions. There's also 125%. That's 125%.
That's 25% more.
Money back, worry-free guarantee. So if you guys want to get some tickets to the next, to the home openers when they start rolling around,
make sure you call Ticket Liquidators at 866-853-3454. That's 866-853-3454. Call Ticket Liquidators now.
All right, now we're gonna go over and we got some bad news. Bad news for Scott Chandler, who is a former New England Patriots tight end. Now, he was released by the team in February, I believe, but he took to Twitter and said, another knee surgery yesterday. This game gives and it takes. The surgery will take me out of next season and probably keep me from playing again. Now, the Pats released him in March, and they signed in his place the Black Unicorn, Martellus Bennett. So, I mean, this is kind of a rough thing for, Scott over there. But, I mean, Patriots fans, they're going to be happy that, they brought in somebody like Bennett. I mean...
that's somebody that can fill in those shoes.
But, I mean, he has been the past couple years, pretty much ever since he's been with the Giants, he starts out really hot. and then he kind of falls off. But I mean, they got Gronk over there too, so you know what I mean. That'll be real nice. All them years playing in Witten's shadow, you know what I mean. He jumps over with the Bears, really turns into a top guy for them, at least in the beginning of the season. But like I said, Chandler
now he can catch deflated balls.
Well, Chandler was doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that too tsunami, people? I'll wait maybe one more minute.
But he was catching some. He caught 23 deflated balls from Brady for 259 yards and 4 touchdowns in 15 games with 4 starts last year. He came to New England after 5 seasons with the Bills. He is 30 now. Do you know what I mean? He was a 4th-round pick in 2007. It sounds like his career is probably over, but I mean.
Oh, man.
He had a nice little run.
You hurt my heart, man, because I'm turning 30, and I'm like, and he's calling it quits. I'm like, dang, man.
Dude, we're talking about football players. This is a little different.
I know, man.
When they're 30, them dudes age in, like, dog years. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good way to think about it.
Like, you hear about how old some of these players are, and I'm like, what? Like, Ruben Randall is, like, 3 years younger than me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think his career is, like, over. Do you know what I mean? The dude, I'm not even like he's not even older. You know, he's not even my age.
He's not even your age.
People are saying he doesn't have it.
Tisk, man. Tisk.
It shows you how hard it is in the NFL.
Now,
you know what I mean?
Now, what's going on with the Cleveland Browns over there, down there in Ohio? What's going on with them?
All right. Well, I mean, sticking with Twitter now, Dante Whitner, he was a safety. You know what I mean? The Browns announced Saturday that they have terminated his contract. The strong safety played 2 seasons in Cleveland, and according to Pro Football Focus, he's their highest rated defensive back. His grade was pretty much an 80. You know what I mean? Overall,
that's a B.
Yeah. And
that's a B.
He's also their top, like coverage guy back there. He had I think they graded him with a 79 in his coverage skills. He's not really that in the box kind of guy, more of a free safety. Yeah. So I mean, that goes back into free agency a little bit. I don't know what Cleveland's going to do. They've gotten rid of both of their leading tacklers from last year. The one thing that Cleveland had a little bit of pride in was that defense. They're really breaking it up. Now, the way this came out, he came out with a little winky, kissy face emoji and said, I love you, Cleveland. My plan is in a different place. They're playing Moneyball now. Be blessed. Then he came back and said, I just wish they had the common courtesy and would have done it weeks ago when free agency was really going on. Hashtag 25th hour, but I'll still bounce back. Now, that is kind of true. They could have released him at the beginning of free agency.
Yeah,
I mean, he really could have. They're really hurting his pocket a little bit.
Well,
There's not as much money left to be spent, but that's kind of good if you're a Giants fan because Dante Whitner can come over to my safety room if he would like.
I guess so.
He's kind of a household name,
yeah.
so I
and he's going to be cheaper now because teams just don't have the money so much anymore, unless he wants to play. I don't know what the newest cap situations are now that all the free agency happened. I'm sure there's somebody out there that can still throw a bunch of money, but
you know what it sounds like?
What?
Dante Whitner needs a getaway.
You think maybe he'll go take a getaway to the Chargers and he could get there with our friend AngelsFriendlyGetaways.com?
Yes, he can. And he will make sure that over at AngelsFriendlyGetaways.com that he will be taken care of with the hotel, the flight, the car rental, and anything that you may need for that trip to ensure that your travel is not inconvenienced at any point. So make sure you, and maybe you, Dante Whitner, because you got some time now, hit up our friend over there at 1-716-980-5727. That's 1-716-980-5727.
He can also tell you how to get paid to travel, so go over to AngelsFriendlyGetaways.com. Okay.
Go there now.
Now, the Browns, let's keep it with the Browns a little bit here and talk about I guess we kind of already talked about. What did you want to talk about their draft room at all, or do you want to stick with this other Twitter?
Honestly, they got RG3 now, right?
Yeah, they have.
So, and he's boldly stated that he doesn't mind developing a quarterback.
Like Carson Wentz.
Correct.
Shouldn't you be good before you're a teacher?
So here's the question:
He was good,
Does
though.
Cleveland pull a Cleveland move and get a
He
quarterback
was still that number
flops?
2. He was that touted number 2 overall pick. So at least
Who cares?
he still could probably teach a young and up and comer.
I don't know, dude. The
I'm not
problem
saying-
with
I'm not saying
RG3
RG3
are his mechanics.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what you have quarterback coaches for. But I'm just saying, for somebody that's been in the game recently and can dictate to you what the speed is like. You know,
I'm saying, what's RG3 going to tell him? That teach him how to not take criticism.
Don't take shots at your knees.
Is he gonna teach him to isolate and divide your locker room?
I haven't completely given up on RG3. I think he still has.
I have. No, I've completely. I don't think he's anything.
Well, you agree with like most of the teams out there in the NFL, except I guess the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I still think RG3 has a chance to maybe resurrect his career, at least a little bit. We'll see what happens.
I got one question, all right? And, it affects your division, in a sense, but although he was just released, but, from that division. But Greg Hardy, all right? He went on and he was talking about how he's innocent and that he never put his hands on anybody.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Like,
We'll talk about this and Manziel.
Like,
both of them.
oh my god, no, man's
Stick with Hardy. Stick with Hardy.
Stick with Hardy. I'm like, yeah, leave Johnny. Johnny, you know what? You're yesterday's news. You're not going back into the league. Nobody wants you. So yeah, goodbye.
We got more to say on Johnny Manziel,
but Hardy, he was a Panther for a while, and I honestly cannot. I'm a good person of like reading people, and he's lying straight up.
Did you see this video? Because
He's like, people in the South got guns.
He was like, yeah, that's not tolerated where I come from. It's not accepted. It was like, and like the interviewer's just like, I've seen the pictures of this woman, and he goes, I didn't say I didn't do anything wrong. I said I'm innocent. It's like, what? So did she fall down the stairs, Greg Hardy? Is that what happened?
Yeah, somebody hit him up. Somebody hit him up
magically?
on Twitter and was and blasted him for his comments too. And honestly, good for him. You know what?
But,
you shouldn't. Especially when you're in the spotlight. Not only that, just as a human being, you should never be putting your hands on another person at all, unless it's consensual in a sense,
unless it's Sean,
or it's a
sanctioned
sanctioned fight. If you're not paying me to fight, well then guess what? We gonna have a problem.
But see, now Greg Hardy, a lot of people get a little messed up. Everybody says he was convicted. Now, I do think Greg Hardy is guilty. That's just me.
He's guilty.
But he was convicted by a grand jury. Now, that's different. Now, I mean, if he was in Pennsylvania, when he got convicted by a grand jury, that would be the equivalent of him going to a preliminary hearing. Okay. And so, like just going to the magistrate and not like superior court. Do you know what I mean? So when they did that, basically, when he was said to be guilty, what that meant was the state felt that there was enough evidence, the judge and the jury felt that there was enough evidence to take it to trial. Yeah. So it's not like a 12 Angry Men scenario where, they had a full trial and he was convicted. He was convicted by the grand jury, and then what? He bought his way out of it at the end, right?
I think so,
yeah. Okay, but now that's why I also wanted to talk about Manziel, because of that whole beating up his girlfriend thing. He was scheduled to come before a grand jury, and they just never got to his case. Do you know what I mean? So basically, it was rescheduled. The date isn't there yet. They're saying it'll be 7 to 10 days. Now, normally, it takes a lot longer than that. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe because it's a high-profile case or something like that. But this would be similar. It'll be with the grand jury, and, it's not like, with his, he got hit with a simple assault, I believe, but in their state, I guess that would be Texas, right? That's where it went down?
Yeah. It was in Texas.
All right, and there, he can get a minimum minimum or a longest allowable maximum of 1 year. This is really something you'd end up getting probation and a fine with. Do you know what I mean? But longest allowable maximum is 1 year. Yeah, he's been arrested for like DUI and stuff, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
But DUI is generally a different category.
Yeah.
It usually doesn't go against your jacket as much.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. He's in trouble all the time. I know that much. Do you know what I mean? And but so he'll be going through the same thing. They're rescheduling that, so nothing's happened with that yet. But I mean, he's done, right?
Yeah, he's done. But you know what's really crazy? And I read this line, and I didn't think of it as a viable source because I don't have cable. But Twitter's won the rights to stream Thursday Night Football.
Oh yeah, dude, this is some huge corporate news. Now this ain't really too much in between, the white lines.
Man.
But when we're talking about suits and ties, this is huge. Twitter beat out Facebook, they beat out Amazon, and they beat out Verizon, who's had the contract. And Verizon made the NFL over $250 million last year.
Wow.
They have taken that contract out of Verizon, put it up for bidding, and Twitter came home with the gold. Now,
nice.
the specifics of it, we don't know the figures yet, but it's definitely over 250 mil. I'll tell you that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There was a there was a quote from Roger Goodell, and it's saying that, and I quote, "Twitter is where live events unfold, and it's the right partner for the NFL as we take the latest step in serving fans around the world live football." And then he also went on to say, and I quote, "There is a massive amount of NFL conversations on Twitter during our games, and tapping into that audience in addition to our viewers on broadcast cable will ensure Thursday Night Football is seen on an unprecedented number of platforms this season. This agreement also provides additional reach for those brands advertising with our broadcast partners," ending quote.
So basically, they think they're going to make more money this way.
Yeah, because
think they're going to make more than 250
because you
million.
can go internationally. You don't have to worry about the cable rights because the people in England are not getting what we're they're getting direct TV, I guess, maybe, right?
See,
I think it's direct TV,
maybe. But I think you're kind of flirting with disaster here.
No, what? No, because they understand that people are streaming now.
Yeah, but do you know what the NBA is trying to do? The NBA, they're talking in a couple years, you're pretty much going to have to pay individually for separate packages to see like any basketball game. Like they're not going to almost I don't want to say like pay-per-view like boxing. And think about what that did to the sport of boxing. Now, before we were born and when we were kids, boxing was definitely more popular.
Yeah.
But being that there was no commissioner and it all went pay-per-view and got too money hungry, it destroyed the integrity of the sport. It destroyed the popularity of the sport. Do you know what I mean? I'm afraid that this is how the future for football. And then you got to think about it. You're always going to have to worry.
I don't know.
You're always going to think about it, dude. Think
UFC
about
is pay-per-view, and they're doing pretty good for themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about you look at where boxing was, and you look at where boxing is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And UFC is also on regular television.
Yeah.
They have pay-per-view events. That's different. Boxing is pretty much...
Boxing had HBO.
What,
they had
20
HBO,
years ago?
and they also had
20 years ago.
Didn't Fox have like those Friday night fights?
Yeah, but
like that?
I mean, that was like a long time ago.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's like Oscar De La Hoya era. That's not like
there's still I try to follow boxing because I trained a little bit with Larry Holmes when I was younger, so I'd have
the Easton assassin.
Yeah,
we're in Easton, by the way.
He taught. Yeah, man, Larry taught me that jab, man, and let me just say, it's never failed me.
All right, but I mean, you got to think about it like this, right? See if it's getting more exclusive. More with the streaming and stuff like that. Like when your connection you have a weaker connection. Now, no matter what, you're going to be on a slight delay. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
You might have to deal with buffering. Maybe you don't have, the whole 100 gigabits per second like we do right here. Maybe you're someone who's down there at like 5. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to be watching the Panthers game 5 gigabits per second when your neighbor's stealing all the electricity? Or not the electricity, stealing all the internet?
Honestly, I think the NFL has enough money to put the server space together for this type
But
of
still,
venture.
your connections got a huge part to
your
deal with
connection's got to deal with it, but their server, with this, this traffic, you're talking about a lot of people coming at one time to, see that.
Mark Cuban was talking about this, right?
And it's the
owner of the Dallas Mavericks. You know what I mean? He was talking about this, and he said, he thinks that they'll make, this is the way they're going to make the most money. Talking about with basketball, but he does know from launch that stuff like that is going to be a problem. Eventually, they would have the servers good enough, but from day one, they're not. Just think about it, anybody who's ever gotten like a PlayStation 4 or whatever on Christmas. You try and put that up, everybody in the world is trying to put up their PlayStation 4, and nobody can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is going to happen, especially towards the beginning. And I mean, it's good. I just don't want to see it be like an exclusive internet thing. I'm not trying to have to stream games. It's cool that I can stream a game if I'm at like work and I'm hanging out in the corner or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, you have been able to stream games of the NFL through Verizon and the NFL app and all that. But I just think now that it's on the social media end, I think it's just going to snowball more and more into that because that's where the dollar signs are going to be. And I think it's going to hurt it. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to watch games on the computer.
Yeah, well, I watch games on the computer. I'm not gonna lie. I like to, that CBS apps and stuff like that. I just watch the March Madness app and stuff to watch, UNC lose by 3 in the last shot.
Yeah, to Villanova, huh?
Oh, man.
I was kind of hoping we could go we did go all of March without ever bringing up tournament, but we're out of March.
I'm a UNC fan, so
I know,
I'm sorry.
all the way around.
So yeah, that was the reason why I chose the Panthers once they came into the league because I was grew up a Raiders fan, so I was like, oh well, this is my chance to go out, and I like the powder blue, so I'm sticking with Jews.
Okay.
Even though the alcoholic couldn't, he took us to the NFC Championship.
Kerry Collins, he was talking about.
But he also let you down, which I know we brought that up a couple times, so we won't revisit
we brought
that
up
too
the
much.
2000 Super Bowl quite a few times.
Yeah, because. Although that was the one Super Bowl that I chilled with you, so that was kind of, although I remember distinctively we didn't watch that second half.
Oh, I did. Oh, man.
I didn't.
I did. I will never turn off a Giants game. But Kerry Collins, I saw every one of them interceptions, boy. Saw every one of them. And you know what sucks? You never get to use. Wellington Mara came out and said like this great speech at the end of the championship game because like he was like, now everybody said we were the worst team to get into the playoffs and now we're the worst team to win a championship, and then he went on with stuff like that. It was this great speech, but you don't get to use it for anything now because they didn't win the Super Bowl and nobody cares. But you should look it up on YouTube even if you're not a Giants fan. If the Giants would have went on to Super Bowl, it would have been like more of an iconic speech, but it still is. But I think for today, we might be getting out of here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so before we do, we got to hit up the free plug party. Tell you guys to go over to voiceofbedlam.com. Tell you guys to go to NYGiantsrush.com. Go click around there.
Sports
read
Rants.
some articles. Hit up sportsrants.com and, go over to our YouTube page. Go to give us some subscribes, comments. We're always going to be getting back to you guys. So, I mean, you guys got anything before we get out of here? You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, man. Just make sure you guys hit us up on Twitter even. I'm starting to use that up. So, BADS John Little, JONLITTLE.
Sean?
Take it down.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on Thursday. See you later.
In every town there's a friend I'm bound to see. We went down to Tucson, Arizona.
That's right.
And there he was, just waiting around for me. Thank you, Lord.
All right, how's everybody doing out there today? Thanks for tuning in to this special edition Voice of Bedlam podcast. If you want to take that next jump with your business or company, you need to come over and advertise on the Voice of Bedlam podcast. Get your ad heard by thousands on a reoccurring basis. Just click buy now and send us your info. Thanks a lot, guys.